this is in the middle of the afternoon and it's freezing, so it's lethargic for everyone. So appreciate everyone coming in here. Just a few quick seconds on housekeeping. As always, please, if you have cell phones that are not muted, please do mute them. There's an app that I hope everyone has installed and has started to use. You should use that to provide, to ask questions. That's what we use to actually go through at the end of the session. I'll go through the app and look at all the questions that you have so that I can relay that back to the speakers. It's also where I hope you will also provide feedback to the session afterwards as well. And with that said, one more quick point. I know a lot of people like to take photos of the slides that they find interesting. For most sessions, the decks are already available and uploaded in the app, so you should be able to download the entire deck there. So that way you don't have to actually take snapshots. You should be able to just download the whole deck for your reference. That may not apply to every single session, but I think for most sessions it does apply. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to our presenters for the session. So Muthu Ravishankar, she's joining us from Loom, and also we have Ryan, who's our Teradata employee who works with our customer, who has a few select things to share before we hand it off to Muthu.
No, actually, it'll be.
Okay, sorry. It's handing over to Muthu.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much to MicroStrategy and Teradata for giving us the opportunity to share our reporting issues and how we resolve it, leveraging MicroStrategy from Analytical Warehouse. So I'm going to go through the whole presentation, what are all the issues we have faced, and how we created our Analytical Warehouse by partnering with Teradata, and how the users adapted those reports to self-service reporting. Throughout this presentation, you'll see all those. So many of you may already know, Loom is a Berkshire Hathaway company. We have 26,000 employees, Loom employees in 16 countries. We are providing jobs for additional 237,000 in 37 countries. So these are all our brands. Loom is a very old brand. It's over 150 years old. In addition to Fruit, we have other brands you may have seen in the shops. Vanity Fair, Spalding, jerseys, Dudley. The Russell t-shirts is very common. And also the Carvation bracelet as well. So imagine how much data we have at the back end flowing through our data warehouse. So 5 years back, we started this business transformation project, converting our mainframe systems to Oracle Enterprise Business Solutions. So once when we did that, we used Teradata to store all our data in the transaction level, meaning we didn't do any summary, we just had only transactional level. We have been using MicroStrategy for over 13 years in our company, but still the data was at the transaction level. So if you see that slide here on this other side, we have the gaps for the business users to create reports. So they couldn't use any of our reports directly out from the system. So on one side, the business transformation was going on. The other side, users were trying to learn the Oracle Business Solution systems and also our new enterprise reporting project as well in MicroStrategy. So what users used to do is they used to export all the data into Excel, and then they manipulate the data in Access, and also the user they just merge with their user managed data, we call it. And only few of the users, they know how to put together based on their experience. So they spend a lot of time in creating those reports, corporate reports, rather than analyzing the data. So the corporate reporting, as a result, it got delayed, and we couldn't present it in a timely manner. So several issues, even though we have the best tool, Teradata, and also we have MicroStrategy. So these are all the issues we faced. So Teradata, Decision Expert, is the one we used to extract the data from our Oracle EBS and to store it in Teradata. So because of that, we had data at the transaction level, and we have several modules. Those modules, they don't talk to each other. And those reports, they are not interactive. And whatever the reports we created, they are all running longer, meaning 20 minutes it took. We constantly getting requests from the users regarding missing attributes, missing metrics. So, and then in addition to that, we could not generate any auto report creation at all. And so the process was manually intensive. So the data extracts is happening on one side, consolidation they have to do manipulation. I'm sure most of the companies, they'll be doing that because we have to integrate with several systems. So the knowledge of putting together into a report is very limited to individuals. So there were report delays, and then of course the potential for multiple versions of the truth. Each department created their own reports and then called that as the final. And then we have misinterpretation. So the analytical capabilities were very limited. So we talked about it and thought about it, what should we do? Then we partnered with Teradata and we created an analytical warehouse. So Ryan Walter is our engagement director. He has been working with us for the past 2 years to create the analytical warehouse.
Yes, hello. And we have a session tomorrow at 4:30 where we're actually going to go through the analytical warehouse, what we built, how we built it, and how Loom is leveraging it and leveraging MicroStrategy on top of it. So come to that session, we'll tell you more about that, but in the meantime, Muthu will talk about MicroStrategy.
Thank you, Ryan. In this session, I'm not going to talk about how we created our analytical warehouse. That's a separate session, like Ryan mentioned. I'm going to talk about how we used MicroStrategy to create all those reports, how we fit the gaps, and then because ours is a self-service model, IT will not create reports for the business users. We stopped creating reports for business users 4 years back. We slowly implemented our self-service model so that users can go and create the reports on their own. So they don't have to wait for us. So these are all some of the samples using our self-service model. These may look simple, but if you look closely, we have metrics going across. We have metrics going across on the top, and we have metrics going across and down, and then we have several complicated reports like this. But still, we don't want to create. We meaning IT, we don't want to create reports for business users because it's time consuming. So I'm going to go through the functionality, MicroStrategy's functionality, how we leverage the MicroStrategy's functionality to create these reports, and then all these things based on training. We train user constantly how to use the functionality, how to use reports using those models we create. So, and then next slide, I'm going to show you how our self-service reporting works. What we did was, so for example, if you see that on the right side, we have actual detail, summary, forecast detail. Those are all nothing but pre-designed views, okay? This is a MicroStrategy's interface. The users will see like that. actual detail, when they go to, they'll see all those folders available for them. When they go to actual summary, they'll see the folder like that. So these pre-designed, we created those pre-designed views on top of analytical warehouse, and then used MicroStrategies, derived attributes and metrics feature, and also shortcut feature, and then so that the metadata layer will not be changed at all. Meaning, if you see the picture here on the actual detail, you can see product. On the down, product is there. On the actual summary, product is there. And then forecast detail, product is there. So, but we didn't create any of those product 3 different times. We used MicroStrategy shortcut feature, and then used those and kept them in order so that users can go and grab those attributes and metrics in the respective folders. So we created those attributes and metrics at one time, but we kept it in different places, the shortcut features. So we used MicroStrategy shortcut feature to make this work. And also we use derived metrics and attributes, which I'm going to cover it in the next slides. And this is that feature, shortcut feature, helped us a lot. And in addition to that, we used the security on those folders. Since ours is a self-service model, we do not create reports for them, but finance will be wanting to create the reports in a certain way. Forecasting will be wanting to create the reports, but we don't want to create it 100 times. We just use that model which I told you a minute back. And then MicroStrategy's security feature we used, meaning we used data access security, that is at the row level security, to apply across different users. And also we use folder groups. That is the main thing we used across the whole projects. This is how we created our security model. These are all nothing but folders. So those folders, we just assign users to each group. And then those groups we applied across the whole project, even multiple projects. We designed one security model using MicroStrategy's group feature, and then applied across the whole multiple MicroStrategy projects. Meaning, domain finance, whatever we mentioned here, there is one set of users will be there. And sales, one set of users will be there. So we created folders inside MicroStrategy. And sales team, whatever they created, the finance doesn't have to see it. So finance team will have their own reports. They don't have to see forecasting team members' reports. But at the end, if they want to share and collaborate, we have a separate folder, and we use MicroStrategy's group feature, and then they can collaborate there. So they have individual groups, and then they have a separate group where they can collaborate as well. This feature works wonderful. We have been using it for more than 6 years now. So access management team, they will assign the members to that. Sometimes the cost is the main thing. Not all the users we don't want all of them to use see cost. So whomever is assigned, or whomever the users we are assigning, we can see the cost. They can only see the reports. So we designed around MicroStrategy grouping feature to make this happen. It works great. And in addition to that, since ours is a self-service reporting, we have only one view. I talked about a predefined view a couple of minutes back. So in that view, we have finance user, we have forecasting user, we have operational, meaning customer service users, and replenishment users as well. So how, without creating multiple versions of the views, how are we going to cater for one view that just caters for everyone? How do we do that? So MicroStrategy has got a security filter feature that applies to the particular project. So for example, if you see, I have the adjustment filter here, adjustment indicator. adjustment indicator here. You can see that. So the adjustment indicator, that one applies only for forecasting members, not for finance. Because finance wants to see everything, but forecasting team doesn't want to see anything. So we applied these adjustment indicator. I included them and assigned the group which we talked about in my previous slide. Those group members, that filter will automatically be attached at the SQL level so that they can see only that part of information. So same way, source type filter, that filter only applies to customer service because they don't want to see some of the source type filters we have. But since I applied at the project level, the same view, it will attach the filter to each and every member in the customer service team or each and every member in the forecasting team. So that's how we designed. It's a one place. This security filter works wonderful. Next thing I would like to talk about, since ours is a self-service model, we don't want to create multiple reports. So this, and at the same time, we do not have a perfect hierarchy either. For example, if you're working for a particular, Fruit of the Loom or Russell, those are all Spalding, those are all our divisions. If a user sees a particular issue with one of the grouping division, okay, for example, it's a Russell grouping, how do I drill that report to that size, up to the size where we have issues? How do I go there to the particular issue with this particular color? So if you don't have a perfect hierarchy, there is no way you can do. But this drill maps feature of MicroStrategy that really allowed us to drill across the report. If you see that in my drill map, all you need to click is right click on, the users needs to right click on it. IT designed the drill maps at the back end, make it available for the users so that they can go and drill down whatever way they want. Because suppose if they start with the highest level division, they can go down to the men's and boys, and then they can go down to the style number, they can go down to the color. So we make it all available, all of them there on the big drill map you see. So we don't have a perfect hierarchy there, but still we made all of them available for the users to select whatever they want. For example, if you start with the division at highest level, once you start clicking, for example, fiscal year, that shows second on top, then fiscal year will be added to your report. And then you can add fiscal year month to the report. And then in addition to that, if you see I have highlighted invoice detailed report, that is not relevant to that at all. At the same time, it will take all the parameters whatever I have and then it will go into the entirely different business area because I just want to see that particular invoice what it is. So you can drill down to that level as well. It's all happened through drill maps. We use this drill map functionality everywhere. Make it available, the drilling across, drilling up or down, available everywhere on the right. So the users, if they create only one report, they can drill down, they can create multiple reports. Another addition thing is, if you have a filter, that gets carried to the report as well. So if you have a filter, if you start with the report with a particular filter, the same filter will be applied when you drill across multiple attributes or metrics. So all these features will be available through drill maps only. So this MicroStrategy's drill map feature, it has been appreciated by users a lot, and I personally like that so that because we can go across wherever we want and find a solution, find the issue and then act accordingly. So in this process, you can analyze your data in a better way rather than creating one more report like that. So we used it extensively and we created several drill maps throughout the project. And then another thing which we used is all these drill maps, and then we train the users how to use it. So the main source to all these is training. So we train users constantly how to use it. We use the feature, we create one sample, and then we train the users how to use that. So in derived elements is nothing but, okay, we created this analytical warehouse, but finance will be wanting to group them in a certain way. Forecasting will be wanting to group them in a certain way. We cannot create multiple versions for the same attribute listing, right? So we use MicroStrategy's group derived element feature to group them, and also train the users how to use it. So users can, if they want to see and if they want to group them, they can use it. If they don't want to see it, they don't need to group them. And we used filter on the derived elements as well. These are all OLAP feature, so it is not SQL intensive. If you create a report, we are doing all these on top of the report, meaning there is no SQL engine involved in this. So we are basically personalizing that report using these features. And some users will ask me, okay, I want to calculate some of the derived elements as well. So once you create your elements, meaning if you have like multiple attributes, you are creating your own attribute set on the report using this derived element feature, and you are having your own version of the attributes grouping because you will be wanting to see it in a different way rather than your peers. They will be grouping only 2 items. You will be grouping 3 items to see the numbers. So you can do that as well using derived elements. All you need to do is right-click on it and then click on the derived elements. And then if you see it, we used it. Here the subtotal here, this subtotal, it's not even available because I want to group these 2 together and then make it available here, but my peer doesn't want to see it. So this is my feature, this is the way I want to analyze the data. So this derived element feature, it works great with that. And also we used custom filters as well. Custom filters are nothing but we can apply the filter for the particular column. Okay, this column, I don't want to see Vanity Fair. I don't want to see Lily of France. I want to see some other set. So, but at the same time, I don't want to create it at the report level. I want to work with the data. I want to play with the data. So you can right-click on it and use it, the derived elements, and also the apply custom filters as well. And in addition to that, we taught users how to use custom formatting. So most of the time, when you have a report, if you convert that into a graph, if it is in millions, as you can see on the right, the graph, it will be like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, like that. I want to see it as million, like that. So we train the users to use the custom formatting to format my revenue dollar to this way. That meaning that just a million, just the thousands. So it will just shrink your report into smaller. When they want to present it to the senior management, they can apply these feature as well. So this feature has been appreciated by user a lot, and they are using it too because IT, we provide those the type how to use it, and then they will copy it, and then the users will keep it in their reports. It's all happening on top of your report. So you don't have to create a separate column to change it, everything. So they are using it. They know how to analyze it. So all these, once again, the main source is the training. So we train users to use all those features. So the next one is the distribution services. So after our ETL process is over, we didn't give them an option to pick a time. So we used the event-based triggering feature in MicroStrategy. So when the detailed process load completes, it will kick off our triggering the event-based triggering feature, and then you can see that the actual load complete, meaning my shipment data is complete. So I'm giving them an option which fiscal day you want to run that report. So immediately these reports will kick off, and then the report will be available through your subscription in your email or the file location. And these are all the filters. We have several filters which I normally train users on. We have attribute qualification, we have prompted attribute metric qualification, and set qualification. They have like multiple filters, options available once again, we train users to use those filters so that they can do whatever they want. And we have the view filter option, we have the joining filter qualification, so they can use whatever they want to filter it, whether you want to prompt your report, or whether you want to filter your report, or you want to just filter on top of your report. That's called a view filter. That's a OLAP feature available in MicroStrategy. So the next main challenge we had is the P&L reporting. The P&L reporting is a challenge this is the main key for the Loom reporting. Meaning, here, if you see, the metric name goes across, and here also, these are also metric. So Ryan's team gave us the summary of those tables, but still, how to do it, how to apply those custom formatting there, how to apply the custom filters there. So we used all those functionality which I mentioned before, and then we created these reports based on how am I doing, how our company is doing the sales dozens against our current forecast, how we are doing gross standard margin against our budget. So this is a main report which our management sees it all the time. So we have achieved this using analytical warehouse and the summary which Ryan's team provided. Also, we used all the features of MicroStrategy to make it happen. So as a result, MicroStrategy is helping Loom to drive intelligent business decisions with data. This is how reports are running much faster. I think it used to run for 20 minutes. Now it's just down to 2 minutes, and we recently made some more changes. I think it runs for 30 seconds. And business users using the self-service models without any help from IT. And then developers save time with the reusable objects, which I mentioned before, with the shortcut feature. And then better data governance using the security group, which I mentioned. We have fully customized drill paths that is available to users wherever they go, whatever the report they create. So data insight, it reduces our risk and improves accountability. Derived elements, like I mentioned several times during my presentation, customize the attribute grouping and calculations, because users want to include calculation into the derived elements, which was available too. Custom formatting for financial reporting, which I showed you in the last slide, without further data manipulation. Before, they used to do a lot of manipulation. They used to spend 1 week or 2 weeks to make that happen. Now they can just, with one click, they can create their financial reporting and send it to the senior management without any report delay. And the event-based subscription triggers, which really helped us a lot to run all our reports ahead of time, so we don't have to wait for 9 o'clock the report is running, 10 reports running. No, after our ETL process runs, all the subscriptions will get kicked off, and then the reports will be ready for the users by the time they come and start working at 8. And we created, this is the last slide, where we created small videos for the users to follow. We'll just send them these small videos, like less than 2 minutes videos, for them to follow how to use those models, because we can create good model, but if they don't know how to use it with the self-service reporting, they cannot do anything. So I'm just trying to run, this is my last slide. Yeah. So what we did was, we are going there and creating a report. And on the right side, if you see, we have added some notes to it. So users can see how many times they want, because it's just less than 2 minutes. And then it will be related to what we have created too. And then they are selecting the attributes, and then they are selecting the metrics. And also they are selecting the filters, whatever they want. And they can go and select the date. So all these, when the step by step, you can see on the right side we have put a small nodes together. It's just to keep moving from one to other, and then that will show them where they are so that they can go back and see it multiple times as well. So now we are adding metrics and we are saving the report. And then run the report. These are all the basic reporting I'm talking about. I'm not talking about any fancy dashboards or anything, but these are all the things they struggle every time. The users struggle to create the reports and how to get the data out from our system. So because we created this wonderful analytical warehouse, and how are we going to use the data? How are we going to analyze the data rather than creating and manipulating the data? So these steps, whatever I discussed with you all, it really helped our organization to move forward with reporting. So now we'll start doing more dashboards, and so we fixed the basic issue which we had. So this approach really helped us to move forward to at least the users have the reports on their hand. Now they can move on to analytical solutions, or they can find the issues with the report, whatever they want to do. With that, I don't know why it's stuck there on the last slide. With that, I'm closing my presentation. I can take any questions you may have. I know that I'm over.
No problem. I think this is the right time. So let me, I'm just opening the app hung up on me, so I'm restarting that. Give me just 1 second. In the meanwhile, just raise of hands for any questions so that I do not waste time as the app restarts.
I sent one in on the text, but I'll just ask you. So Ryan, what you said is we may talk about this more, but it sounds to me like, sometimes when, whether it's MicroStrategy, quite frankly, or Cognos or any of the other reporting tools, what we've seen a lot is a lot of people create highly denormalized tables, and then the reports are really one-to-one mappings, right? It sounds to me more like you've really exercised the MicroStrategy tools, to bring in detailed data and then let the users summarize, report, mix and match on their own. Am I catching that right?
No, we just have a detail level, and that also we have a summary level too. So we have providing them both. So if a user wants to go into the detail level at that particular transaction, what am I looking for? Some users, they are not going to go at that level. So we are not telling them to summarize on their own. So we are giving them another business area. It's called summary. So a lot of work went in for that. The Ryan's team put together some work behind it. So that actual summary or shipment summary, we are providing them the layer.
Okay. And what I would say is that it's definitely a mix between the two of what you're talking about. There's a fair bit of denormalization, but what I would say, really what our objective was not necessarily to just denormalize the data. Really, the value is that the business users have a lot of knowledge about this data in terms of how it's connected and how it needs to be leveraged. And really what we did was try to take the business knowledge that they had inside themselves, right, and inject that into the data. So that way when they run the reports, it's as they need to see it, and they don't have to then extract it to Excel or extract it to a data mart to really apply what they expect and what they want on the data. And really that's where we got a lot of value and a lot of speed through the solution.
There's one more question. How can we learn more about leveraging MicroStrategy to report from Teradata? This could be very helpful. Is that basically the second session that you're talking about?
Are they talking in terms of reporting, or are they talking about Teradata side? The data is...
Good question. Blake, who asked that question? Okay. Let me come to you. You can actually elaborate on your question.
It was just moving forward after this session. How can we learn more how to implement this?
it depends on what you're trying to do. First, the basic thing what we did was we created the analytical warehouse, and then we used all the MicroStrategy's functionality and then make it happen. So we learned it through. I've been teaching and MicroStrategy for 13 years. That experience also helped. Basically, we need to go and learn MicroStrategy, and also maybe think about how you can change your analytical warehouse to design it in such a way that you can just pull information from it. It all depends on what you're trying to do.
Thank you. And one more question. How do you solicit feedback from your user community?
Like any missing measures or complaints of, like I would like this added to a report. Do you have a group function? Is there a mailbox, a discussion board?
Yes, we do have a discussion board. Also, we do send an email to the users. We have a group email ID, which we have like over 1,000 users.
Okay.
So our user community is over 1,000. So we just send them an email saying that, okay, this is the attribute available, this is the metric available, newly available. But we are trying to change it to the discussion board. Usually some of them, they don't see it, right? So still we are using email as the communication protocol right now.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions? I don't see anything on the app. Any other questions? All right. Well, with that, again, thank you, Muthu. Thanks for the for the rest of the audience. Yeah, please do rate the sessions and provide us feedback. Thanks again.